right, well, there we are. Kufar Akbar, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Crescent Discussion Group. This is a weekly streamed live show dedicated to rightly dividing the truth between Christianity and Islam. I am your humble host, Eric Thekeffer, coming to you live from the cavernous steps of the Catholic Cave in Dar al-Harb, Pakistan once again. So, what are we doing today? I'm sorry, last week we didn't have a show last week, and I didn't even announce it to anybody. I just didn't show up, and everybody's probably going, "He didn't show up." But we had I don't want to say it was an emergency deacons meeting, but we had a deacons meeting at church. And if you know anything, well, you don't know anything about our church or the deacons, but we all have like this mixed up schedule. I don't have a mixed up schedule, but everybody else does, and it's hard to get us to meet on certain evenings. And last Monday I would have been the odd man out saying I can't come because I got my radio show, and I didn't want to do that to everybody, so we opted to have the meeting last week, and we got everything discussed and nothing done, so very productive. I'm just kidding. Okay, so today I purposely labeled or categorized or described the show as a debate. Is the Quran Word of God or not? And I did that. I posted, what I did was I got on Facebook. I've said that I've done this several times, but I went ahead and I did it again today, and I posted in probably 50 separate groups a challenge. And this challenge reads as follows. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show it to you on my screen. Let me, that would be easier than just reading it to you, like you guys have no idea what I'm talking about. How do I do this? Share screen, window, boom, there we go. I think I did it. No, I didn't. There we go. Here we are. Right there it is. It's loading. It's on the screen. There we go. So this is what I posted on Facebook. Oops, let me get this, so make it big so everybody can read it. Okay, so this is an open challenge to debate whether or not the Quran is the Word of God. And I said today's debate will take place on the Cross and the Crescent. I even gave them the StreamYard link, Streamlab link, so they could click right on and come in. It doesn't matter who you are. You can just click on it and come right in to the show. And we'll have a format of 20-minute intros, rebuttals, crossfires, closes, whatever. And we can self-moderate this. And I even put down some rules. And I have gotten no replies to this, which I am really shocked, because normally I get a reply. And the reply is, well, I'll debate you, you kafir, or whatever you are. But we're going to talk about the Bible too. That's only fair. No, this is a debate about the Quran. If you want to talk about the Bible, we can do that separately. But this is a debate about the Quran. So if you want to come in and have this debate, I see we have this individual named JC. I'm not sure if this person wants to debate.
Yo, Mano, I want to debate you on the Quran.
No, I know who this is. Stop.
I probably got this crap working, man.
What the heck is this JC?
I don't like this platform. What's up, Mr. Steven?
Hey.
How's the married life?
Awesome.
In
Arabic we say "Ukbala indak."
Awesome.
Okay, so anyway, nobody's responded to this, I guess. Hold on. I got a message. Hold on. What does it say? Stop making empty claims while ignoring all of your very sources. What I say about Muhammad, I don't know who that is. I have no idea what this is.
Maybe Aladdin will come in and debate you.
They got a whole chat. Oh, and Courtney was here. Yes, Courtney was here, and I guess she thought it was a debate, but I think I know who that is. I'll just leave it at that. But anyway, I have this whole thing prepared, and all they have to do is just come in and debate it. And I have done this before, but I was looking through past shows, and I haven't done it since when was the last date? This was from 2022, I think is the last time we talked about this. So it's been almost, I think it was April of 2022 was the last time I did this. So I thought, well, that's almost 3 years. We can go ahead and try it again to see if anybody wants to try to provide an answer to these objections that we have about the Quran. We've talked extensively on this show about Muhammad and what an imperfect life he's lived, and we talk about hadith and how they contradict the Quran, and we do all kinds of spend all kinds of time doing that. What is this? That's more a CP David Wood et al. What is this, Nico?
I sent you a video on Skype that it's one Thaddeus did a couple of months ago. He went through a slew of TikTok videos. And now that Steve's here, I mean, honestly, I was watching this one short from TikTok that just put me to sleep, but maybe Steve can break it down for us.
Okay. Well, this video is 4 hours long.
Yeah, no, it's at the 1 hour and 23 and a half marker. Like
1 hour, 23
minutes and a half, 23:30.
23, 24. Okay. And is he talking about the scientific miracles of the Quran here?
No, he's talking about stuff that's a little beyond me. Something about the language of the Quran and how that validates, proves that Islam is the religion.
Well, you want me to play it? How long do I got to play it for?
It's like a 1 minute video. Thaddeus jumps in and he keeps giving us feedback, but outside of that, it should be like a couple of minutes, give or take. 5 minutes, I don't know.
Tell me when to stop.
I honestly don't know. I can't make the odds and ends out of this video.
All right, well, let's watch and see what Thaddeus has got to say. No problem. Let me unmute him. And
1 Peter 3:15.
can you hear that?
Yes.
Okay.
Why was the Quran revealed in Arabic?
All right, we got why was the Quran revealed in Arabic? And yes, I'm sure that this is going to be very helpful. I know this isn't what the video is going to say, but the real answer is, according to the Quran itself, the reason it was revealed in Arabic is because literally every other language already had a prophet. And the Arabs were so pathetic that God hadn't gotten around to giving them a copy of the scriptures. So Muhammad was sent to reveal the Quran in Arabic to the Arabic speakers, and that is that. The Greek speakers would already had their text. The Hebrew speakers already had their text. And apparently all the other languages of the world that Muhammad had no clue existed also already had their text. It was just the Quran was last. But let's see the nonsense answer that we get instead of the...
Why was the Quran revealed in Arabic? What is so special about it?
One of the miracles of the Quran is the different modes of recitation. Only the Arabic language can accept the qira'at.
Okay, is this what you were talking about, Nico?
Yeah. I remember Ibn Ketchup talking about the diuretic marks. But
Diacritic.
yeah. But he said diuretic. That was
Diuretic.
Ibn Ketchup, the guy who pretended to be stabbed by Christians or something. And,
Oh,
yeah.
Even Ketchup. Okay, all right, I get it now. That's all right. There's a book that was written, and I have it right here, by this guy's name's Gunter Luling. And here's what Gunter's supposition is, and we've discussed this before on the show, but what Gunter says is that the Quran is nothing but an amalgamation of Christian hymns and poetry in Syriac, and that if you go back and translate that back into the archaic Syriac, it makes sense because the diacritical marks. I can't remember what he says about how the diacritical marks have been added in order to change some of the meanings. But if you take it and you translate it back into the ancient Syriac, it comes out to be Christian homilies or Christian hymns and Christian poems. Has nothing to do with being archaic Arabic or anything like that. Now, we had a guy on this show, I don't know how many years ago. It seemed like he was out from the West Coast. Wasn't he? He was a nurse or something. I can't remember I can't remember the guy's name, but he was a Muslim, and he said that the reason why the Quran was revealed in the archaic form of Arabic, just as Arabic was developing, so that nobody else could change it with different meanings, because the language of the Arabic at that time was the most precise and concise. And I've heard some really stupid reasons for this, but that had to be like one of the biggest things that I've heard. And to say that, and plus, Steve would know this better than anybody, because he's an Arabic speaker here, would know that the Quran itself isn't even the right type, or the Arabic that's in the Quran is not even the right type of Arabic that was supposedly spoken. Somebody pouring a drink. Sounds like somebody's making a martini or something.
One thing that guy in the video, Thaddeus's video, what's funny to me is that in one sentence he mentioned the two Quran disasters. Number one is, he says the Arabic is the only one that could be recited in these modes. And then he says, and it's the one that can be recited in these qira'at, so we can have the qira'at. Well, the modes are what Muhammad said, that the Quran came down in 7 modes, meaning 7 different Qurans. Okay, that's when Muhammad got busted, because people were memorizing the Quran in different ways. And he says, no, it came down in 7 ways, because my people can't handle just one language. So Jibreel gave it to me in 7 ways. And then Qira'at is something else. Qira'at is the after Uthman's Quran, because they didn't have diacritical marks. Later on, they put the diacritical marks in different places, and you came up with all these hundreds of different Qira'ats, which are the different recitations. And so that guy, he said one sentence and mentioned both of those disasters in the one sentence. So that was kind of funny.
Well, here's another thing too on this. He's talking about, basically they come down to what are they, 27 versions of the Quran now? Or do we have more? I forgot how many more.
37.
37? Yeah. And they have deep differences. As a matter of fact, I switched phones, but we all had, didn't we? Remember we downloaded that app, that Quran app, that lists a lot of the different versions of textual variants between, I think it was like several different Qurans that Jay Harbour used. What was it? I forgot what it was called. I don't have it on my phone anymore. But it was an app, and it could show you in several places where the Quran differed, and these are major differences. So basically what he's saying is the blunder of the Quran is the miracle of the Quran.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? No, seriously.
It's true.
Yeah, it's like everything else. The scientific miracles, what's a scientific falsehood? Well, that is the miracle of the Quran, because it could be true. You just haven't discovered it yet. That sperm could actually become from between the rib and the backbone. No. Oh, well, Muhammad was an idiot. He couldn't read or write. Well, it's a miracle of the Quran. They couldn't read or write. Like, how is that a miracle? In other words, all of the Quran's blunders or Islamic blunders, all of a sudden, through reinterpretation, become miracles. And it's just sad and pathetic. Well, Eric, so do you got any takers on your little challenge to Muslims?
No, I don't. This is major disappointing. I thought at least one of them would show up, but not nary a soul.
What we're doing wrong, dude? We used to have Muslims all the time when they come on.
I know. Maybe we're so consequential that, or maybe we're more feared.
Yeah.
I don't know. Have you guys been paying attention to the Dawa Wars?
No.
The Dawa Wars this week? Oh, dude, big Dawa Wars this week, dude. Daniel Hakachu is being takfired by several major Muslims, dude. You guys have been following this? Oh, they are seriously. Daniel Hakachu? You remember Danny Boy?
I know who he is. I mean, what's malfunction?
Well, he's being takfired. He's being takfired by several Muslims.
But isn't that normal for him? I mean, don't. Whoops, sorry. What did I do? Whoa.
Well, this is like big deal. Like Adnan Rashid has called him dishonest and can't be trusted. Let's see, this other dude pretty much called him a takfiri. And then there's what's his name? Not Muhammad Hijab. Muhammad Hijab is sort of with him. Jake the metaphysician, he's all up in his grill, calling him a takfiri, calling him a hypocrite. In other words, this Danny Boy, man, he could be killed
What was
too.
the one that we were talking about a couple of weeks ago here on the show that doxed somebody or called for the violence against somebody?
Oh, that was the Muslim Comedy Central, Dawa Central.
Dawa Central. There we go. Yeah, that's right.
Who has a tattoo that says God's Son, and was actually accused by other Muslims of being a total atheist and a total fraud, and just trying to get the Dawa dollars. But basically taking money from Muslims to go to these conferences that he never goes to, or go teach at these conferences that he never goes to, or to give Dawa overseas that he never goes to. He always finds an excuse, but he takes their money. And then he was trying to sell his Dawa ammo kit, or his Dawa kit or something like that. We will answer all the questions, okay, that you need to know to arm yourself to do the Dawa for just $20 a month. He will give you the Dawa kit. And it turned out it was just clips of videos from other Muslims. From
turning it, anything to make a buck. If he's out there hustling.
See, that's why I'm thinking I should convert to Islam and go out and get the Dawa dollars. I'm just saying. I'll come on your show regularly and take you guys on and argue.
That would be a hoot, actually.
That would actually be yeah.
I should.
Okay, look, I got a whole thing, the spiel I wanted to go through once again, because a lot of people, when you have Muslims come out and say that we know that the Quran is from God, we know for sure, and there's no questioning it. You can't question it. Well, the fact of the matter is anything that we find in writing, you can question. You can question the Bible, and we do question the Bible. We have, an entire science that the science of textual criticism that you can apply to the Bible. This Yeshua is Lord. Can I join? Can somebody post the link to the Streamlab in chat for? Well, here, I'll just go ahead and do it. Okay, thanks. Yeah, let him join. But what was I saying? I was saying that you cannot question the fact that we know that the Quran is true. It is from God, and there is no debate about it. Well, the fact of the matter is that there is. The problem with debating Muslims on this is they are so, and when I say they're literally afraid of having to have an academic debate on the sources for the Quran or the problems, the internal problems that we find within the Quran. The only thing that they can do with that is just say, well, your Bible sucks worse. Your Bible's been corrupted. They can never sit there and focus on the Quran itself. So what I want to do is I want to take a look at the Quran and how it is, how many problems that there are in the Quran. Not all of them. This is not meant to be what's the word I'm looking for here? Comprehensive, entirely comprehensive. There we go. But there are a lot of things in here that I am going to show that, number one, many of the writings that we find within the Quran are not from Allah. They're not from God. They're from Jewish rabbis. They're from apocryphal sources. Brad, you are making a lot of noise.
How can I be unmuted?
Maybe that's Steve. Steve, are you making a lot of noise? Somebody's making a lot of noise. Anyway, what was I saying?
So wait. We're just gonna go over the Quran is not the word of God. Are there any Muslims here? Does anybody believe that the Quran is the word of God?
I don't think anybody here believes that.
Okay.
I mean, I would hope that somebody that is watching this video, whether it's going to be on YouTube or Rumble or whatever, will at least take the time to try to challenge and post their challenges to what I have to show here in the comment section. Maybe we can have a dialogue of some sort. But I never get any takers on this debate for all kinds of reasons. So let's go ahead.
Well, before we get into that, can I just play a clip real quick? It's like 6 minutes in length. Did you see the debate? Did you see the debate with David Wood and Robert Spencer? Did you see it?
Not all of it. Parts of it.
You didn't see it? Okay. Well, I just want to play just a short clip. It's like 6 minutes. Can we do that? Because it's great.
Sorry, excuse me, everyone. I'm sorry to disturb you. Thank you for allowing me to come on stage. I just want to say, God bless you. God bless you all, brothers and sisters. May I just quickly just say something, and then I'm going to leave you. You lot all probably heard about the 21 Coptic martyrs who were slaughtered by ISIS 10 years ago. There was an animated video that was released this week, which is been sent to the Academy Awards and Oscars. I recommend all Christians watch that and share it far and wide. It's called The 21, and it's on the anniversary of those 21 brothers who died 10 years ago to this week.
Where do we find that?
So I'll send the link. It's called the21.com. If you just the21film.com. So yeah, I recommend just sharing it and just share it with all Christians and Muslims out there, because people should see this film. It's incredible.
The Coptics that were slaughtered on that beach in Egypt.
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
Yeah, precisely. Yeah, precisely.
Yeah. We've actually, I have clips of that. I believe that there's clips of that still in my intro of that. Is this like the anniversary of this or something, or what?
Yeah. It's the anniversary to the week of this. So I just shared the link within the private chat. But sorry to interrupt you all. Forgive me for that. I just wanted to just share that.
Quite all right. Yeah. I am trying to see the link in the chat. Am I missing something, guys, or is this in the? Hold on. I have a 4-minute one.
I just want to say one. I just want to say one thing I heard about those guys today, and maybe you can correct me, but I heard it in Arabic, and I wasn't 100% sure if I heard it right. But it was about those guys that were killed in Libya on that beach, and I heard that there's an Arab guy who said it, that one of the ISIS guys is the new president of Syria.
Oh, wow.
Wow. I didn't know that.
And how would they be able to identify that?
You know what? He was talking about it. He says you could just look at it, and I'm not sure exactly how, but he said it on his program. There's a guy who's he's an ex-Muslim from Egypt, and so he knows this stuff. He used to be a professor at Al Azhar University, and he's got sources. And so anyway, if that's the case, man, dude, we're in for a rough ride.
Doesn't surprise me. But brothers and sisters, God bless you all. And I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Oh, that's good. Here's the clip. It's the21film.com. How long is this?
About 12 minutes.
About 12 minutes. Okay. We got time at the end of the show. We'll go ahead and play that and hope we don't get copyright violated or whatever. But yeah, it's for public. Public education.
They're sharing it far and wide. But I'm going to leave now. God bless you all. Yeah, thank you for having me.
Yep. Okay, let's go ahead and take that. What happened to Rad? Rad kind of bounced off. What happened to him? Let me Skype him and find out where he went, because he said he wanted to show something before I get going here. Where are you? Are you?
Sorry.
That was odd.
Me, sorry guys.
You what?
That's my channel.
Oh. Okay. Well, while we're waiting for Rad to pop back on, let me go ahead and start this this slideshow here. Like I said, I made this slideshow a number of years ago because I was going to have a debate with a Muslim. I think this one was with Kenny Bomer. To be honest with you, I made this because Kenny Bomer and I were going to have a debate, and of course, he backed out. So in order to show that the Quran is not the word of God, the only thing that you really have to do is just go to the Quran itself, because in the Quran, it talks about in four different surahs that Muhammad, even Muhammad is admitting this. Yeah, Nico, I did say Kenny Bomer, not no. Bomer is his name. And it's easy to make fun of that. And
I can't help myself.
No, I get it. If you ever want to mock somebody, stop. It's not funny. But anyway, and he's an imam out of Houston, Texas, a very knowledgeable person about Islam, but I believe he's dishonest as the day is long when it comes to representing Islam. As a matter of fact, I have this book underneath my pigs here, Consider Islam, because all that is just nothing but a screed, attacking everybody else for not believing that Muhammad was a prophet. But anyway, in 625, it says this is nothing but the tales of ancients. Let me get this up here. Here we go. This is nothing but the fables of old men. 831. This is not but fables of old men, mere fables of men of old. Fourth time, fables of men of old. So even people that the authors of the Quran knew that they were being accused of just regurgitating stories that had been told before. So this is not coming from God, it's coming from other people. So we can pretty much tell that the Quran is not the word of God because the extra-Quranic stories that we find in the Quran, number one. Number two, the anachronisms that we find within the Quran itself, and I'll explain what those are here in a second, and also the historical inaccuracies that are in the Quran. Now, there was a book that I had. This one I've used as some of the sources for this. This is Ibn Warwick, the Quran, or the Origins of the Quran is a book. And there's another one right here. Hold on, I got it right here. The Original Sources of the Quran by St. Clair Tisdale. Notice I've gone through this. I got this thing bookmarked. I've gone through this thing like with a fine-tooth comb. And I just picked out the biggest ones or the highlights from here. And then also the revelations of convenience. Now, we can tell that the Quran is not from God because of the extra-Quranic sources that we find in it. They come from Syriac folklore. We get them from the Jewish Talmud and Midrash, and the Gnostic and apocryphal sources that predate the Quran. Now, when we look at the Jewish Talmud, that Jewish Talmud is nothing more than commentary on civil and ceremonial processes. It's kind of a legal renderings about the Bible, and the Midrash is commentary on the scriptures also. So it's just kind of two different sections or genres of literature about the Bible. Now, one of the most obvious verses that we find in the Quran that demonstrates that it's not from God is Surah 532. Surah 532 clearly demonstrates that Muhammad was ripping this stuff off and trying to give an Islamic spin on it. I wonder what happened to Rad. Can somebody try to reach out to Rad and find out where he is via Skype? If you got him on Skype, can you send him a message and find out what happened to him? If you look at this surah, this talks about when we look at the, this is one of the most famous verses of the Quran, or cited verses of the Quran by Muslims to show that Islam is a peaceful religion, and it says that if anyone killed a person not in retaliation, murder, or to spread mischief in the land, it would be as if he killed all mankind. And if he saved a life, it would be if he saved all life of all mankind. Ooh, that sounds so peaceful. But if you look and compare that to Midrash Sanhedrin 4.5, you can clearly see it's a plagiarized version of that. It comes directly from the Jewish commentary on the story about Cain and Abel. And when you look at it, there's 5 different points of congruence, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, about this midrash. And then, again, it's the most often quoted verse for how peaceful Islam is, but it's borrowed from the commentary. And the sad thing is that when we look at it, because the beginning of it says, we have prescribed for the children of Israel, it doesn't even pertain to Muslims. What does pertain to Muslims is verse 33. Look at what verse 33 says. The penalty for those who wage war against Allah and his messengers strive upon the earth to cause corruption is none that they be killed or crucified. Don't you see that the God of the universe is prescribing crucifixion for people who cause corruption in the land? What is that? Well, nobody can really provide you a consistent definition of what corruption means, but they know that you can crucify for it. So this is, it's just clearly not from the same God or the same God of the Bible. Surah 531 is, and you can, butt this right up. I mean, the surah right before 532. This is 532, if I'm not mistaken. 532, the one right before it. 531. Look what it says. It says, then Allah sent a raven. Targum Jonathan Ben Uzziah talks about a raven coming up to hide the body of Abel, who scratched the ground. Look at there. What is he doing over here in the Targum? He's scratching the ground. Oh, over here to hide his brother, to bury his brother. Boy, that's kind of amazing. So in this surah, we have how many points of congruence? I don't know. I couldn't count, but it says if this is not borrowed, why do both stories include an animal? Why does this animal have to be a bird? Why does it have to be the same bird? And why is this bird trying to do the same thing by burying the body? This is clearly ripped off, borrowed, plagiarized, however you want to frame that argument. Then you go to Surah 27, verses 17 through 44. And you compare that to Targum of Esther. This is the story of Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. And it talks about having birds. And it talks about the hoopty bird. Here it's called the red cock bird. And the bird has a mind of its own. And he takes off and hides. And then it talks about, appeared in the presence of the king. And talks about going to see this queen. To the south, ruled this region, ruled by a woman. Boy, isn't that fancy? And then it says, where else? It goes on, talks about Solomon, and King Solomon sends this message. And then you get down here to the end of it. The end of it's the dead giveaway, where the queen is going to visit Solomon. And as she's going to visit Solomon, she sees this glass, which she thinks is water. So what does she do? She pulls up her skirt and then realized that it was glass. And you have the same thing over here. It was the glass floor was water. So she lifts her garments. This is clearly a plagiarized story that we find in the Quran, from a known source dated back to the 2nd century, the second Targum of Esther. when you look at the similarities, you got Solomon, you got the Queen of Sheba, you got a castle, you got a bird, you got floor of glass. The glass is thought to be water, and the queen lifting her dress. And if you follow Occam's razor, this is clearly a plagiarized story found within the Quran. Quran 19, verses 26 or 22 through 26, talks about a date tree and Jesus speaking from the cradle, I believe this is. No, it talks about the palm tree, giving dates to baby Jesus and Mary below. Same story. You shake the trunk, and now will come this, come these fruits. So you look at here. This is from the known 4th or maybe as late as 5th century writing, and it talks about what talks about a palm tree. It talks about Jesus speaking from the cradle and commands the trees to give up its dates. The same story, just told with a different twist. And then you go into 19 or 29 through 31. This is where Jesus is speaking from the cradle. And then you have this same story from the infancy gospel of Matthew, I believe it is. It says infancy of Jesus Christ. I think this is, I can't remember the exact name of it's an apocryphal book. But here you have Jesus speaking from the cradle, but instead of saying, I am the Son of God, it says, I'm the slave of Allah. He hath given me scripture. I don't remember God giving Jesus a book anywhere. Maybe I'm wrong. Oh, the Infancy Gospel of Thomas. There we go. Second, and this is a Gnostic work where Jesus is speaking from the cradle. We know this is plagiarized. And it's, only a fool would believe this. And there's all kinds of other stories that we find in the Quran that predate the Quran by centuries. You have Satan refusing to bow down to Adam. You have the story of the 7 sleepers of Ephesus. What is this one? This is where they mistranslate the word Chaldees and think it's fire, and makes the it's a slam dunk for plagiarism is what it is. Oh, it is. It's a city, where is they translated into fire. So again, this is another slam dunk of being a plagiarized story. And there's others that come from that story, that book from Tisdale, St. Clair. Then we also know that the Quran is false because of the anachronisms that we find in that. An anachronism is where you attribute a custom, event, or object to a period in which it doesn't belong. And it's easy to explain. Where you would have, some colonial woman, they used to call them laundry wenches, which is hilarious, but that was actually a term that was used in my history class. And she would wash her the clothes using a Maytag, or Abraham Lincoln, using a box. George Washington driving a car, Pilgrim GPS, Roman soldier shooting a gun, to kill somebody. We have somebody's got a mic.
I have a question. Did you see?
Rad was going to play a video of that, and I don't know where Rad went. But yeah,
I was there. I was there. I saw David and Robin in Newark. That was a great debate. You should watch it.
I've seen parts of it. It's how long is it? It was like 3 hours or so.
No, it's like an hour and a half, because each one was like that. I saw it. I had to leave to go to work, but I was actually started in the beginning. He asked me to come up to the stage, not David Wood. It was funny.
Hmm. And what position did David took the position that Muhammad did exist? Is that it?
Yes. And Robert took the position that he didn't.
Right. And who won the debate?
If you want my opinion, I think Robert made a better case personally. I just as an academic, I think he made a better case. I think that he answered all of David's points. So
Yeah, and I when I watch Robert debate this, I think he also debated Jay Smith on this, and he really handed Jay Smith his butt on this, and because of again, if you have an academic debate with these people, and you instead of using hyperbole and personal attacks and these other things that that are often employed in these debates, when you just get down to the facts, historical facts, how they're ascertained and used, I think there is a strong case out there that Muhammad didn't exist, and he is nothing more than a personage developed over over centuries into this prophet versus being. And I think, doesn't Robert use the not the excuse, but uses the idea that Muhammad is nothing more than a title that was used for Christ and has evolved to be a name of a prophet that spoke preached a different message? Is that what he did?
That was a part of it. I think that he did a pretty amazing job, because David brought up, he said, the hostile witness. It's actually interesting because I brought this up I was there the whole debate con. So I was there with Alex. I don't know if you know who Alex Stein is. He's kind of famous. Alex Stein and Austin Whitsitt and Andrew Wilson from The Crucible. I don't know if you're familiar with these guys. They're all kind of I would say they're kind of conservative podcasters, but Alex Stein, I brought up the case. I said, and this, I think it ties to this, because I said, well, if the moon landing was fake, well, what about the hostile witness of Russia? Why would Russia testify to America landing on the moon in the space race? And he said, well, they could have been in cahoots with each other. And I was like, I mean, that's an explanation, because I think Alex Stein debates flat Earth too. Because that's modern day debates has a lot of flat Earth debates too. I don't know if you're familiar with that, but
they have a lot of what?
Flat Earth debates.
Oh, flat Earth debates. Oh, yeah.
Flat Earth versus the globe.
Right.
So basically, in this situation, he said, well, there's this hostile witness. Well, what about if these people just made up these traditions because a lot of them were sick people? For example, people wanted to marry their stepson's daughter, right? You could have sick people who make up narratives that help support them. You know what I mean? Some people, they want to have lots of wives. They could make up these things these traditions that help support their cases. And I think when Robert Spencer made that, I think that's a logical case. I think he handled that situation that David Wood brought, because that was primarily David Wood's case, was that they're hostile. They're, the hostile witnesses. Why would you say all these horrible things about a person that you love, that you say is the best person of all humanity? And I think Robert answered that well, and he's just like, well, because to some of those people, we have the fallacy of presentism. So we think that things are moral now, but in the past, maybe those things were acceptable to society. Do you know what I mean?
I do, but isn't that the criteria of embarrassment that David would be arguing?
Okay. That's what he was arguing for, the criterion of embarrassment. But what we might find embarrassing now, for example, people were polygamists. We don't believe in polygamy now. In modern society, we believe in monogamy, right? But they believed in polygamy.
I will say that there has never been a society or a culture that has the widespread practice of pedophilia. And when I'm not talking about marrying when you're young, where you have a 20-year-old young man marrying a 14-year-old girl or something like that. I'm talking about where you have a 50-year-old scumbag marrying a little girl like that. That when you start talking about, and I would like to know if there's ever been a culture like that, or it's been accepted widely in a culture. And I think that the answer is, it would have to be, that outside of Islam. Let me just put it that way. And the only reason why it would be accepted within Islam is because it is thought that Muhammad did this. I don't think there's ever been a culture that's practiced that.
Hey, can you hear me, Eric?
Is there what?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, no, it was funny because I actually put together a ebook on the. I did some research, me and my buddy Chat, and we looked into the age of marriage from ancient times up until the 20th century, and nobody was practicing that. Even the outliers, some king or some noble, person of stature. They were not marrying like 6 and 7 year old. The standard age between all the way back to like ancient Rome and Greece and so forth, the girls were getting married around 14 to 16 and the guys 18 to like 21. Nobody was getting married. No 7-year-old was getting married to a 50-year-old dude.
Yeah, and that's my argument.
Yeah.
That it's never been practiced anywhere. You guys go ahead and talk. I got to make this call.
Yeah. Let me add to that too, and I could be wrong. Correct me in the chat or whatever if I am, but I mean, I remember at least visiting, the Shakespeare's home there in the UK, and they were talking about how the expectancy of life was in the 30s. I don't know. I would imagine, I don't know back then. I mean, it's a whole different. We're talking about millennia of a difference, so I don't know what the age expectancy was for the period you're talking about, but I mean, apparently for a while at least, people were living at much shorter lives. Whatever that's worth. I mean, not to mention that, again, I don't want to sound like a Muslim, but
who is it?
That sounds like Steven.
Mike got hot mic'd.
Who's got a hot mic?
Steve's mic. He's on mute, but somehow it's going through.
Okay.
Yeah, that's weird. His mic is muted, but he's going through.
I don't know how it's going through.
Maybe if we do it some other time.
Okay.
There's so many different cars come this.
I don't know what's going on here.
This is why we didn't jam microchips.
Steve, we're on. Steve. There. How's that? Wow. Now he's back. Okay, I
want to show you what David gave me. He gave me a gift when I was there.
All right. Nice. I've got to bail out, guys. Right on cue. Thanks.
All right, Nico.
All right.
Thanks for coming. We'll see you next week. God bless you. All right, let me go ahead and jump back into the slideshow. I tried to call Rad while I got off there, and I don't know what's going on.
Do you mind if I say one more thing, if that's okay? I don't want to interrupt the slide, so I just want to share one more thing about the debate con.
Go ahead. Yep.
Is that cool? No, I don't, because I just wanted to make sure. Yeah, it was a really powerful debate. It's funny. In Muslim debates, you don't really hear Muslim debaters debating for Islam. When I've come to kind of represent, like, I at least try to talk about Islam. Like most of the debaters that I've seen that represent the Muslim side basically just attack Christianity. And I'm like, how do you defend Islam when you're just attacking Christianity? And also the big problem is if you attack Christianity, you attack Islam. If you attack Judaism and Christianity, it's a Damocles sword. If you attack Islam, Christianity and Judaism, that's what Islam is. The whole foundation of Islam is. That's the claim, is that it's from Christianity and Judaism. So if you say Christianity and Judaism are false, then that makes Islam false. It's a very dumb position. But like,
there's a cottage industry, Isa, on why they have to do it. They have to do it because they have to attack the Bible, the authenticity of the Bible. They have to say that it's been corrupted. They have to put some type of villain in there, like Paul, hijack Christianity, change it. They have to do that because it contradicts the Quran, which says that it came to confirm the Bible, which came before it. So they have to develop a foil or some type of rescuing device, and this is what they do because it contradicts the Bible. So you have to make up a fictitious Bible that never existed.
But brother, that doesn't exist because we have archaeology. We can find stelas that are 3,000 years old. That you would have to deny science to do that. I mean, you'd have to deny archaeological science to say that these texts don't
That's what they
exist.
do. That's exactly what they do.
Well,
It's
and I would,
denying historical facts.
well, and also you're grifting too. Like you would have to grift because if you say that the New Testament is false, if you make that claim, I mean, you could try to do reinterpretive stuff, but if you like the Baha'i do it, the Baha'i successfully are able to do a certain system that works. But if you're taking the standard Islamic position where you're like this position now, at least in the history it wasn't, but this position of the New Testament being false, well then you face a real problem. What you do is you say that you would have to say that you'd have to violate the Hadith of Jibril. The Hadith of Jibril says that you have to have 6 pillars of Iman, of faith, right? You have to believe in these these pillars of faith, which are you believe in God, you believe in the angels, you believe in the prophets. You know what else you have to believe in? The books, not phantom books. You have to believe in real books, like books that are written down. That's what the Hadith of Jibril, it blatantly states that. So you cannot then say, well, these texts are corrupted. I mean, it's just so dishonest. And I keep hearing it. You're like, oh, I don't like what
saying that there's an Injil out there that was given to Jesus, and that Injil is not the Gospels that we have today. Again, it's dishonesty
with no evidence.
You're absolutely right. It is dishonest.
But there's no evidence.
Right. I think, and did I get a reply? I believe I do not want to. Well, it wasn't a reply to what I thought I was getting. I thought I had a live one. Somebody replying to accept this challenge to defend the Quran, but no, there's no takers so far, which I'm really not shocked. But yeah, you're absolutely right. You have to ignore historical facts. Number 1, 157. You have to the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. If you want to deny the resurrection of Jesus Christ, have at it. I believe that there's all kinds of evidence for the resurrection of Christ. However, we do not have concrete evidence that you have some. It's like a third party, somebody saying, "Well, I saw Jesus," after he was crucified. Walking around. You don't have somebody outside of Scripture doing that. However, the crucifixion of itself, you cannot deny and act like you are on some sort of historical ground. Using historical methodologies or factual grounds. Here, you're not, because there are too many extra biblical sources that affirm the crucifixion narrative, that he was in fact crucified. So the rescuing device has to be, well, they just thought. They said, we ever think, who argues that way? Well, people who argue for a flat earth, or people who argue, that we never, landed on the moon. Those are the types of people who argue that way and try to make sound arguments using that type of methodology, where you completely ignore the body of evidence supporting that supposition that Jesus was crucified, and you come up with, the people at the time, were fooled into believing this, and it's absolute ridiculous to follow that type of methodology.
So I wanted to address, I think what you said is really, it's on point. Like, it's a very hard situation to basically say, well, I'm just going to say there's a phantom text. You would have to take sort of like an Ahmadi sort of position and kind of expound on that, where they said that Jesus was crucified, but then it was some kind of swoon theory, and then he went to Kashmir, Desi Islam, South Asian Islam, but you'd have to do something like that. I think this other positionality, it's you have to do different kinds of techniques. Just outright denying the New Testament is a problem. I think you have to do some magic.
Well, this is the type of methodology they engage in. Deny the New Testament, say that it wasn't written in the first century, when all of the evidence points to a first century authorship. Then you have to say that it's been corrupted without providing any original sources saying what it was corrupted from and comparing them to what we have today. And the reason why they have to do that is because when we go in and we look at their Quran, like we're doing tonight, you can clearly see that their book is indefensible. So you have to continue to go on the attack on the Bible.
And one other question: what is the standard of corruption? How do we define what a corruption is?
They will not. Okay, again, they will not. What happened here? What happened here? What is going on here? I'm sorry. I'm clicking on the wrong buttons here. I'm sorry. Say that one more time. What is corruption? Is that what you're referring to?
My question is, what is the standard of corruption? Claiming
there is no consistent standard on what corruption is, because they know once you get them to provide a definition of what corruption is, you can turn around and apply that same standard of what they call corruption to the Quran. Because all they're going to do is they're going to talk about variants that we find within the biblical text, or additions that we find in the biblical text. But we also find those same things in the Quran. So they will not provide you a consistent or solid definition of what corruption is. And again, this is another rescuing device and debating technique that they have to use in order to try to defend the indefensible, which is the Quran.
I think that it's just hard. You have to take, it's better to probably stay out of debates. I think what that guy, what's his name, the Indonesian, Saudi Arabian guy said, Sheikh Azam, he was like, stay out of debates. I think he's right, because you're just not going to win. You can't win these debates,
Simply believe. Believe it's true. Believe it's true. And if you don't, well, we'll kill you. There you go. And we'll call you in a pocket.
Or if you don't believe the way that they want you. So the thing is, it's not just believe the way, believe that this is true. It's you have to believe my way. You know what I mean? It's not like, we have differing views within this tradition. But like, for example, you may disagree with a Unitarian, but you wouldn't be like, okay, I'm going to get rid of the Unitarian. You're just like, well, I think the way that you think about this is not the right way, and it's not biblical. And I think that's okay. You can disagree on theology, but you can't take someone's life if you disagree on theology,
Well, this is something that they have. This is something that you find in dictatorships, where you demand obedience and adherence to this, or if you don't, you're dead. And this is what we find in the reliance of the traveler. We find in the Sharia. You either believe everything, accept everything, and do not criticize, because if you do criticize, we're going to label you an apostate, and you know what the penalty for being apostate in Islam is. It's death. It's punishable by death. So this, again, it's like the mafia, but with a god. Okay, let me finish up this slideshow.
So sorry for being
I'm just wondering where Rad is. I don't know what happened. He was going to provide us this analysis of the debate between Spencer and Wood. Okay, so if you can mute yourself. It sounds like somebody is not muted. Okay, so anachronism. I told you what anachronism is, and we find anachronisms all over the Quran. We start with Joseph being sold into slavery, and when he was sold into slavery, the Quran says that he was sold into slavery for dirhams. Now, what is a dirham? That is a coin that is counted out. The problem with this is that dirhams did not exist prior to the 12th century. And the bigger problem with that is that date coins were not used prior to the 12th century. So when you say it was counted out here, it was counted out, we know there's no coins. Coins didn't exist at this time. So this is an anachronism. In Genesis, I know it sounds like an accuracy. When you look at the shekel in Genesis, the shekel is a weighted measure. It's not something that you count out. So it says the slaves were sold for 20 shekels. That is, Steve, I think you need to mute yourself. Steve. No, it wasn't Steve. Is that Isa?
Oh, okay. You know what? I thought I was muted. Sorry about that.
Yeah, we heard your entire phone conversation, Steve. All right. And nothing bad. Okay, let's go with another one. Let's go with the furthest mosque. This is a doozy. This is where they have this land grab for Jerusalem. In the Quran, it tells us that Muhammad went to his servants go on a night to the sacred mosque, to the remote mosque. And this is thought to be the Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. The Dome of the Rock was actually built as a shrine to this event 60 years, or what would be 70 years after the event. But the problem with Al-Aqsa Mosque, it did not exist at the time of Muhammad. It wasn't built until 705. So how can Muhammad go to a mosque that did not exist? Again, this is an anachronism. This night journey is an anachronism. And it doesn't even name Jerusalem. The city of Jerusalem is not mentioned one time in the Quran. So how can this be? This is an anachronism. Another one. Did Davis produce chainmail? Well, that's kind of odd. If you look in Surah 34, it talks about him making coats of mail, balancing well the rings of the chain of armor. Well, there's a problem with David making chainmail. Chainmail wasn't invented until the 5th century BC. David lived in the 10th century BC and on a different continent. So this is a 500-year difference. This is like saying the Pilgrims were blown off course because they didn't have GPS. Actually, this would be greater than that because the GPS was what? Pilgrims was what, 1620? That was 380 years ago, 380 years before GPS was developed. This is 500. This is even a bigger anachronism than that. How about the crucifixion, the practice of crucifixion? Quran's so proud to say that Allah prescribes crucifixion in 532, but it also says that Pharaoh was practicing crucifixion in Egypt. It says at the time of Joseph and at the time of Moses. The problem is that crucifixion was not developed until, what was it, the 5th century? Where is it? Here it is. It was developed. Now these events, the time of Joseph is about 1800 BC, the time of Moses, 1400 BC, around 1500. And so when you look at somebody still got a hot mic. Anyway, when we look at the practice of crucifixion, the Persians are the ones that developed crucifixion in the 6th century. So this is at least 800, if not 1100 years off. It could not have been used. But here again, crucifixion is used in the Quran and at the wrong time. There are people that make the argument that we see it in Genesis 3, but that's not true. Baker's head was cut off and he was put on a pole. It's crucifixion. Look at crucifixion. What was that? I don't know if that was Steve or if that was Isa. That Isa. Yeah, Isa, you got a hot mic. Let's put Steve back on here. Okay. When we look at crucifixion about Jesus Christ, we have extra biblical sources. I mentioned this earlier. We have extra biblical sources such as Thallus saying that Jesus was crucified, Pelagian, Lucian, Marvin Serpian, Josephus mentions it, Tacitus mentions it, and you got other people that mention that Jesus was crucified, which is a direct denial of the Quran in 4157. Okay, what else we have? We have Moses and the Samaritans. Now this is a doozy. You have Moses about 1500 BC, at the time where the people of Israel making a golden calf, where you have a Samaritan helping the children of Israel make this golden calf. Here's the problem. The people known as Samaritans did not become a distinct people group until 721 BC. This is where the northern kingdom was carried off and was replaced with other people from different kingdoms. Let me put you back up here, Issa. Sorry. Well, you had a hot mic earlier. I had to put you down. Yeah, that's okay. I don't think Issa's talking to us. Sorry. Okay, we're going to do one more anachronism, and I think that we are going to call it a night from there. We're going to leave it there after the anachronisms and call it a night. I'm going to try to reach out to Rad because I'm kind of concerned that something happened to him. Are you still there, John? I'm not sure if you're there. You might be listening.
I'm still here.
Okay, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm going to call it a night.
All right, no problem.
Because I'm kind of concerned about Rad. I'm going to...
Yeah, I sent him a message on Skype, but he didn't respond. So
Yeah, he's not responding to me either. Something might... Because he's had some issues with his mom and dad this week, being sick, and I'm
okay.
hoping things aren't... I'm going to reach out to him. All right, everybody, we'll finish this up next week. Issa, we're calling it... Can you hear me, Issa?
Yes, I hear.
Okay, yeah, you were having a conversation with somebody. I don't know who it was.
What, you could hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. I don't know what the heck you're doing. I don't know if you're on a date.
He's ordering food at the drive-in.
That is so crazy. That's nuts. I was on mute.
This is, we're getting what we pay for, I guess. As a matter of fact, hold on. Oh, I got another, hold on. Why is Allah, I'm always surprised they're doing all their best to do. Oh, this is somebody again. Anyway, okay, so we're going to call it a night, and I will be back here next Monday night, and we'll try to maybe finish this up then, where we talk about the historical inaccuracies that we find in the Quran itself. God bless you, and we'll see you then.
Advanced student and specialist, that the standard narrative has holes. That's what
that the Muslims were rioting against one another. And as much as we don't want to face the fact, the Muslims were lying sometimes. They were fabricating, they were embellishing, and that might be hard to accept, but that is a reality.